Hey guys, always dizzy here. I'm here with my third round report or third round game report from the 2022 Richmond Open. I think I'll start this video by showing a very brief, like 10-second video of the tournament playing area. So I'll intersperse that right now. Yeah, so I mean, nothing too interesting, but as I said in one of the earlier videos, that was the ballroom that we had, and yeah, lots of space in between boards, and it was a pretty good venue, and all of the sections were in the same room together. So there were a lot of unrated players in the lowest, in the under 1,000 section, and a lot of there were a lot of unrated players in the under 1,500 section as well. But the tournament went smoothly, even though there were so many first timers. So as a recap, this is round 3, but the previous night I had just under 3 hours sleep. If you want to know why, you can watch the first half of the video from round 2. So this was the second round of the second day, and I was pretty tired, but actually, considering I had very little sleep, pretty good actually. So yeah, my round 3 opponent was somebody named Mark Yao, and this was his first time, his first over the board tournament. As you can see, he's unrated. While we were waiting for the round to start, he mentioned that he's watched some of my videos. So yeah, I mentioned before, but it was a little surprising to me because I had like 5 or 6 people know me as Always Dizzy, and I was surprised. Afterwards, I talked to him after the game for a while, and it turns out that him and a bunch of other players are actually part of a secret society, part of a private group on Discord that know each other well, and that might be how he knew of my channel, and it turns out that he prepared for me. I'm really easy to prepare for because all my games are online and everything, and because if you have a YouTube channel, it's a lot easier to prepare for someone. But I didn't ask him. I'm not sure if the group helped him prepare against me, or if he alone prepared against me. I'm not sure. Anyways, my opponent was I'm so bad at guessing ages. I'm going to say maybe 18, something like that. Possibly older. The older I get, the harder it is for me to guess ages of younger people. He was a nice guy. So he had lost his first 2 games. That's why he was paired with me in round 3, because I had also lost my first 2 games. So yeah, we were both looking for a win. He told me what his online reading was after the game, but since I didn't know beforehand, I won't. Oh, did I know beforehand? I forget if I asked him before the game or after the game. I forget. Anyways, let's just take a look at the game here. Okay, so everything's loaded and working. Yeah. Okay, so there's round 3, second game of the second day. I couldn't prepare for him for a couple of reasons. First of all, in usually the second round of the day, it's hard to prepare for opponent because the pairings only get put up maybe 45 minutes to an hour beforehand. So it's possible, but often you're using that time to eat quickly, which I was. I walked to was that when I went to the mall? No, that was the other day. Anyways, but he was unrated, so I did a very quick look. I didn't find any of his stuff online, which is fine. Anyways, he played c5, knight f3, d6. And he whipped out these moves fast. I mean, we both were playing the opening quickly, like immediately. So we have a Sicilian Najdorf here, and we're both just whipping out the moves. e5, knight to b3, bishop e7. And this is when I started to get slightly suspicious. This is when I thought, I wonder if he prepared for me, because I knew, like, we had talked beforehand and he told me that he's watched my videos. So then this is when I started to get a little bit suspicious, because bishop e7 is totally fine. I think it's second main line. Yeah, it's second main line, but the much more popular move is bishop e6 first. Now, these normally transpose like 99% of the time, but this is something that I play as black, and it's slightly unusual because, again, normally bishop e6. But the fact that he played bishop e7, because it is a bit unusual, I thought, maybe he's playing my own openings against me here. And that's when I got a little bit suspicious. And then he played, so yeah, it transposes. And that's what I play as black, as I say. So this is all theory. We're still just whipping out moves. And I remember thinking, I wonder if he might play h5. h5 is a fairly unusual move. People almost never play it against me. It's very rare, but it's actually a really good try from black. And I've always been kind of worried that someone might play this against me in a tournament, because it's a computer line, basically. It's in the database. People have played it, but it's not so common. But the computer likes it enough that it's a total legit viable move. Essentially, h5 stops white from getting the normal English attack with f3 g4, and white has to play a different type of game in most cases, and that's why it stops a lot of the fun for white if black plays h5. But I thought maybe he'll play h5 here. Maybe he prepped for me and knows that h5 might actually be a really good try against me. But we were still whipping out moves at this point, so I didn't have too much time to ponder about that. And then he played h5, and I was right. I was like, wow, h5. And that's when I got really, I suspected that he actually prepared for me. I mean, I wasn't 100% sure, but I thought there was a good chance that he prepared for me. Because that's perfect prep, in my opinion. Like, if I was me and I'm preparing against me, like, I think I would play h5 here. Now, I'm saying that because I'm not afraid to say that, because if a future competitor or opponent is watching this and it's like, oh, I'm going to play h5. Well, now I'm like, since the game, I've put more effort into studying this, so I'm prepared for it now. So bring it on. It's not as fun to play against, but I'm more prepared for it now. Playing this game forced me to look into it more. Yeah, so he played h5 here, and I thought just for 2 minutes. I mean, I played that. I'm very, very familiar with the Najdorf in general, that I didn't actually have to spend too much time on this. I was torn between three moves, and that's why I did think about it for a little bit. I forget what opening it is. It turns out it wasn't this opening, but there was a similar opening when black plays h5, where the computer suggests that h3 is actually a good move. It's not this opening, but it's a similar opening where the computer wants to play like h3 and then g4, essentially. So I was thinking, like, is this the opening where that's the idea? But that just didn't make any sense to me, because this rook is hanging if I ever take on g4. So it must have been a different opening. So I eventually ruled out h3, and then I was deciding between castling and knight d5. I suspected that it might be knight d5 here. But then for some reason I ruled it out. I think I just thought that castling was safer, and we're keeping an eye on the d5 pawn push. So I was thinking like castling and then knight d5. It turns out that my repertoire move is actually knight d5. So again, any future opponents, you know what I'm going to play in the future. So knight d5 was actually my repertoire move, but I mistakenly played castled. But objectively, like the eval difference, I think it's like 20 centipawns or something. It's very minuscule. So casting is totally fine. It's just not what my repertoire was. So I castled. And he played knight bd7. And then I played knight d5 as I had stated I was going to do. And he went bishop takes, which was a bit surprising. I wasn't super surprised, but I thought, I mean, more typical is knight takes d5 and then e takes and then bishop f5, keeping the bishop pair for black. But I can also understand why he might want to take with the bishop, because knight b6 then puts a lot of pressure on d5. So, yeah. Okay, so queen c7. So here I thought 100% he's going to play knight b6. I thought that was the whole point that he took on d5 here. Again, so that knight b6 immediately attacks d5, and I didn't know what I was going to do about that. I was still thinking about how I was going to deal with that. I guess I would have to play c4. Oh, no. Sorry, I would have to take the knight. Yeah, so that's what I thought was going to happen. I thought knight b6 and then bishop takes, queen takes, and then we play from there. And that's what I thought was going to happen. But then he played queen c7. It turned out queen c7 is fine, because this still is going to happen. Like in most cases, like knight b6. I mean, I guess again I could play c4 here, but I've never ever seen a position like that. Like I've never played a position with like where white plays c4, so that would be completely new waters to me. Anyways, here I think I thought for a long time. What did this move? 12. Just checking my score sheet here. Yeah, so I thought for 12 minutes on this move. And I ended up playing the best move. So it was a good investment of time to think. You could pause the video if you like. I'm not going to keep saying that because it's kind of annoying when people do that. And it's more annoying when they give a really long time for you to think. Like, feel free to pause the video. I think John Bartholomew does this, and then he waits for like 45 seconds. It's like, if people want to pause the video, they can do it. They only need like a few seconds before you spoil the answer. So anyways, yeah, I mean, this was kind of a key point. I think I was thinking of, I had a few ideas. Like I was thinking maybe queen f2 so that knight b6 can't happen. I know that that's sometimes a thing. I was thinking maybe king b1. Yeah, I just want to see what the computer's eval is of queen f2. It's playable, but it's not the best move. C4 is actually the best move here by like clear and far. And again, I've just never seen that before, so it's a really hard move for me to play. Because I've played a lot of Najdorf positions and I've never seen c4. Anyways, but sorry, I didn't play the best move here. I thought I did though. I could have sworn the move I played was the best. I'm incorrect then, and unless it's just because it's really shallow. That's what I'm looking at right now. Anyways, I played bishop e2. Yeah, just a simple move that connects my rooks and prepares g4. So, and then he played knight b6 now. And he had an hour and a half on his clock. I had an hour and 15 minutes here. And yeah, I took, I mean, I'm obligated. Well, I guess I probably could. No, I had to take. I can't even play c4 anymore. So yeah, I took on b6, queen takes. And then I thought for 8 minutes on the next move. And once again, I blundered. I don't know why I played this move. Like, I'm going to have to try to chalk it up to the fatigue of having only slept 3 hours. But this is very, very strange. The amount of times I blundered in this tournament is unbelievable. Like, I've never blundered this much in my life at a tournament. And just incredible blunders. Like, it's astonishing. I can't understate how crazy it is, how many times I've blundered this tournament. Yeah, so, and especially in a Najdorf, like, I'm very comfortable in a Najdorf, and it's not like this is a complex position. Well, I mean, potentially it is, but it's just really strange how, like, the blunders I've made, like, really make no sense. But yeah, so I thought for a long time, and let's see, what does the computer suggest here? Yeah, the computer just suggests any boring slow move. King b1, getting off of this c file. Rook hf1, just boostering this potentially open file. Like h4, nothing spectacular. Everything is about equal in eval. For some reason, I didn't like how. Well, first of all, like, I didn't really know how to play against the h5 properly, and I didn't like how white was starting to get a bit of an attack going on me. So I wanted to push the aggression back to black, and I played g4. I just wanted to open things up and start attacking, because I was thinking to myself, like, he's played h5. Let's, and he hasn't castled, so let's start creating a new avenue of attack. I thought maybe I'd get this G file open and get the rook attacking G7, and let's start the aggression. But I overlooked an issue here, which is what happened. So here, how long did he think here? Not long, 3 minutes. H takes G5, and then I realized my mistake. If I go F takes G, there's knight e5, and now he's threatening my queen and a fork. And if I move the queen, he still has that fork because it's defended by the queen. So I can't get out of that. I can't get out of that fork. And that's what I missed. And I couldn't see a way out of it. So I had spent another 16 minutes. Is that right? Yeah, I spent another 16 minutes on this move. So between the last two moves, I spent like close to half an hour, I think. Yeah, I spent a very long time here because, well, I knew I had blundered, and it's like, well, I'm about to lose the game now. Yeah, and I've just put on the engine here. The engine is giving this -2.5. If I find the best move, it's -2.5. So that's why I was thinking forever. I'm like, well, what the hell can I do? And I'm desperate now because I just dropped a pawn. So I decided to make things as chaotic as possible, because I can't just play normally because I'm down a pawn and my position is crumbling. So I played like the most tricky move I could find, essentially, which was rook h g1. So I was just trying to give myself the most chances. I thought, if he takes a pawn, well, he's attacking my bishop, so I can take, but then at least I have something going here. If he plays g6, I don't know, maybe I bring in the other rook, or I don't know, but at least I'm pushing back a little bit and I'm making things complicated. Otherwise, if he doesn't take, I don't know what he would do here. Because I'm threatening to take back, right? Well, no, I guess there's still this. No, well, I don't know, but I thought it gave me a decent chance, and I thought the reason I went with this rook. Well, there were a couple of reasons, because now my D rook can cover these 3 files, and also he can't take on H2 because I have this discovery on the rook, so he can't take on H2. And if he did, well, I mean, he wouldn't, but if he did, I would be back in the game. And also earlier I was worried about his queen even infiltrating, but then I also have a discovery for that as well. So yeah, after a 16-minute think here, I played rook hg1. Now my opponent spent 2 minutes on his next move, and what he did bothered me. Now, he probably didn't have any malicious intent behind it, but I've had players, usually younger players, do this against me in tournaments before, and it's really disrespectful. Well, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I do think it's disrespectful. So if any of you guys do this, please don't do this. So what he did was he found what he thought was like a really good move, like a winning move, and he took his piece and he slammed it down on the board, like making an audible sound, and he just did it kind of like boom, like as if we're playing like chess at a park or something, you know, like a hustling move, just like boom. And I just find that disrespectful. And it's possible he didn't mean it in that manner, that he just was excited or whatever. It's his first time playing in a tournament, right, over the board. So I might be reading too much into it, but it does annoy me when he does this. Now the thing is, that move that he did was rook takes h2. He's like, boom, you blundered, you moved your rook, you forgot about this pawn, boom. But then, hey, wait a second, I thought you couldn't take this pawn, right? Because we have bishop b5 check. So he might, I think he got a little bit too excited there and didn't give me enough respect. So I'm like, yeah, when he played that, I was like, whoa, wait, are you sure you can do that? So I checked a little bit, around the board, but only briefly, because I've already looked at that, and there's only one thing I can do here. I mean, I have the discovery, I have to take the rook. I can't not take the rook, and there's no, I can't. I mean, I guess I could, but I guess, even if I don't have bishop b5, f takes g4 actually gives me some play as well. This was a strange move for him. So that shows his experience, right? Especially just spending 2 minutes on it, and he took. So I'm back in the game. So rook takes h2, and yeah, and I don't know why I'm looking at the score sheet. I was looking at the time. Yeah, so I spent 1 minute on this move. And here, I kind of snuck some looks, some sneak peeks into his face, and he didn't show anything, or any emotions on his face, oh no, what did I do? He looked actually quite collected and calm, but he spent, because the whole game he was very quick, spending just 1 to 2 minutes per move. And for the first time, he spent 11 minutes thinking, and which is strange because, well, I guess it's not that strange, but at the time I thought it was a bit strange because you have to take the bishop, but I guess he was just deciding between queen takes. I guess that was what he was calculating. I almost thought that maybe he could just play king f8. I thought that might possibly be something, but then I guess he just loses the tempo. So He was probably calculating between a takes and queen takes. Yeah, he took with the a pawn, which I think is surprisingly the better move. Yeah, it's surprisingly the much better move. I guess if queen takes, I guess the computer just likes the open file. The thing is, even though that, like, I'm happy with this position though, because the double B pawns, it basically means that black can never break through with his pawns. Like, the pawns never pose a threat to me now. So even though his rook gets active, these pawns just, yeah, are never going to help him out. Complete weaknesses. But funnily enough, that's the better move for some reason. Surprising. Anyways, yeah, I took the rook, of course. Yeah, he played king d7, and he played this very quickly, like immediately. Yeah, instantly. He probably had calculated that after this long think. But queen d7, or king d7, I thought that was strange. He was just scared of my queen coming in. Like, yeah, I talked to him after the game, actually. And he was scared that, like, he didn't really like my queen giving check, and then he thought, like, this pin would be annoying. But I don't think he doesn't have to go out of his way to play it. Like, after check, instead of getting pinned, then he could just move the king. Oh, I guess there's a rook issue, but I see. Okay, I see why he was worried. But, like, he could just, I don't know. Maybe his move's not that weird. But I guess, like, he could just take the pawn, that would make more sense. Or give a check first and then take the pawn. Well, then he can't take the pawn. But these moves is what I was expecting, one of these two moves. So king d7 was a little strange. I think that shows a little bit of his inexperience as well. But I mean, I'm nitpicking a little bit. It's easy, yeah. Okay, so I took the pawn. Rook takes a2. Yeah, this was interesting. How long did I think here? Move 20. A long time. Well, 6 minutes. So at this point, after this move, I was down to 39 minutes, and my opponent had 57 minutes. So the computer prefers king b1 here. My thinking. I kind of thought that the two moves didn't really matter. And because the rook doesn't really harm me. And so I thought I could just play g5 here. And I forget why king b1 is better. I think, oh, it's because of knight e4. I wrote this down in my notes in ChessBase, but I imported the game into Lichess right now, so I don't have them in front of me. But I think it's to do with knight. It's some subtlety here, that king b1 is better. I think it's because of knight e4 and then king b1. Oh yeah, there's tactics here now. I think black can, like, almost force a draw. I guess there's a queen coming back and causing some issues, but there's also I'm trying to remember, but the knight here can actually create some tactics. Because we actually can't kick it out very easily. Like, if we do something like this, now knight c3, and then queen a3 threatening mate, and we're getting mated. And if we don't take, then he grabbed the pawn. So there's weird tactics like that. So that's why I should have played king b1. It's okay. So there were some possibilities for black to get into the game there. So he does play knight e4. Let me turn off the engine. He does play knight e4. And then I played king b1. And yeah, so if I had played this right, if I had played king b1 first, then g5 and then knight e4, yeah, the difference is that this rook is now gone. So there's no more tactics here anymore. So that was okay. So that was that. Okay, so this is what happened in the game. King b1, rook a8, and this was my plan all along. It was queen h3. This is what I calculated when I was planning g5. So queen h3, and my opponent said he didn't see queen h3, but he couldn't really have prevented it anyways. King c7, queen f5. This was my plan, and my opponent, yeah. So he took, and yeah, I took back, getting a pawn and two bishops, or sorry, and two minor pieces. What did I get a pawn there? No, sorry. I mean, black got a pawn and rook and I got the two minors, but I have the insanely active queen. He has a kind of a passive queen, and his king is poorly placed. His rook is like, these pieces are very poorly placed, and actually I'm also up at night. It's funny because it doesn't feel like I'm up at night. For some reason to me, I don't know why. It feels like it's equal material, like piece material for me. But the main point is that my queen is really strong. Like, and my opponent thought for a long time here, and I was kind of giving myself a break. Yeah, my opponent thought for 12 minutes on this move, from 43 minutes to down to 31 minutes. And I was just giving myself a mental break. So I was kind of just like looking around the room a little bit. And I wasn't being cocky. I was just giving myself a mental break. You know, it's the second game of the day. And then I was starting to wonder to myself, because like I wasn't looking at the board at all. I wasn't thinking about the game at all. And I was wondering, like, why is he taking so long to think? Like, but then the more I thought about it, I'm like, what can he do? Like, I'm going to take one of these two pawns. He actually can't stop me from taking one of them. I mean, he could push here, but then I've got check. Like, his position is completely hopeless. So basically, I didn't even realize just how completely winning this was. I was just giving myself a mental break. So after a long think, he played queen f2, which I had anticipated, and I gave a check. King c8, and here I felt a bit bad for my opponent because I thought for a while here. 10 minutes. No, sorry. 6 minutes. I spent 6 minutes here. Now, the easy move here would be queen e8 check, picking up the rook, right? That's the natural move. If this was a bullet game, that's probably what I'm playing. But I was trying to be precise and brave. Again, that's kind of the theme of this tournament. Well, between blunders and being brave, that's kind of the theme of this tournament for me. Because again, the safe move, you could call it, would be the queen check, just pick up the rook. You know, you don't have to think. But I decided to play the correct move, the right move, which was rook h1, threatening mate. So, but it's still, I mean, it's not like it's not a difficult move to find at all. But I mean, it's still a little scary to play because it's like, okay, now the rook's undefended. Of course, black can't do anything here, but the rook's undefended, and it's like, am I playing with fire? It's happened in the previous two games where I could have just. I had a simple move in the first two games. I would have been completely fine and equal, but I decided to be brave and play the what I thought was the right move. And I did that again here. So I didn't back down. I'm like, okay, again, I'm going to play what I feel is the right move. So, okay. And I actually calculated a forced mate when I played rook h1. There's like a mate in 3 or 4 here. So yeah. He moves the king, and then check, and then mate. So he actually played it out to mate on the board. Now, I'm not sure if that's because it's his first tournament and he didn't know how to resign. I think that actually might be why. I didn't ask him. Or it might have just been out of, like, he thought it was respectful that he'll let me checkmate him on the board. I'm not sure. It didn't bother me. He played the moves quickly. But if he didn't know how to resign, he might have even thought I was trolling him here when I was thinking so long on these moves, like on Rook H1, because his hand was kind of in his head, so in his hands were in his head. Sorry, his head was in his hands, and yeah, again, I thought for 6 minutes, like that's a lot. That's agony if you're black here. So, but I wasn't trying to agonize him. I was just trying to make sure I wasn't blundering and I was playing the right move. So, yeah, so I got a win. My first win. I needed that. I really needed that. So, don't mess with my Najdorf. No, the funny thing is that I was actually worse out of the opening. Well, actually, the opening I was okay out of, but H5 definitely caught me off guard. I didn't have enough practice against it up to then. I've kind of been avoiding it. I should be ready for it now, or at least more ready than I was. But the G4 blunder was G4 was just really bad that I played G4. So like here I'm fine, here I'm losing, completely fine, completely losing. But I think a little bit of inexperience came into play, and like smacking down on H2, like wow, like at least spend some time if you're going to play it. Like he spent 2 minutes. Yeah, so I mean that was because that he played pretty well. Like this is I mean I blundered as well, but this is a really blatant blunder, right? Because I mean the discovery is right in there, and if you're going to take a pawn like that, you should be extra cautious. Here he was actually equal. The computer says that he was equal here. I think where he went wrong, well, looking at it was actually Rook A8 was actually a blunder, because when it allows me to infiltrate with my queen and start gobbling pawns and pieces. So I think he had to, I guess he had to either move the rook to defend the knight, so that when I do this low check, that's taken care of, or else he has to move the queen to defend the rook. At no point was I ever scared of him infiltrating here. I've just had too much experience that he's not going to do anything. With these pawns as they are, he's not going to scare me, because all he has is a queen and a rook. And I've got a knight defending, and my king can always escape. So, yeah. So even when he had taken this pawn, I knew that nothing's going to happen here. Yeah. Okay. So that was round 3. At this point, I was 1 out of 3, and I had 2 more rounds to go for the following day. Yeah, stay tuned for round 4, which will be coming up soon. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and on what you thought about this game. And yeah, thank you for watching.